welcome everybody to the Art of AI-Infused Support. I am Eric Ashby. I will be your host today. Just to make sure that everybody is on, would you just give a quick little welcome wave or whatever? Fantastic. I see we have a few people on from all over the place. We have California, Texas, India, Italy. So it's great to have everybody on here. This is going to be a fun topic. And I'll just talk a little bit about, actually, let me first introduce myself. My name is Eric Ashby. I'm the head of product at HelpShift. I have been at HelpShift for almost 7 years. And that's about the time that we really started investing in AI. And so there's a lot that we've been doing. We'll share some of our technology today, but today's discussion isn't going to be 100% about everything that we have. I want to talk about the industry and what's going on in general, about what you can see out there, kind of some of the changes that we've seen. But of course, I will show you some demos of the things that we have, and we'll talk about just a lot of different things. And on that, just kind of about the way that I like to run the session. This is an interactive session. We have the Q&A that's up. We have the chat that's up. You can always raise your hand. There's just a number of things that you can do so that, if you want to join in the conversation, please do. I don't wait till the end. We'll just take them and we'll talk at that time about any of the questions or things that you have. So please use those tools. Really looking forward to having the conversation. Since this is a conversation about AI, though, I do want to share with you my AI persona. I am known as Lord Ashman of the Cloven Oak. This is a high elf rogue. This is my Dungeons and Dragons character that I use whenever I want to have a virtual experience. And so you'll see throughout this Lord Ashman of the Cloven Oak come out. I actually used him last April when I participated in the world's largest D&D campaign. So it's a little bit about me, some of the things that I like to do. But all right, why don't we get started? We have a lot of content to go over. And with that, I do want to talk a little bit about AI and where I see that the industry is right now. And it is interesting about where we are right now. I mean, like I said, we've been working in AI for quite some time. In fact, I worked at Microsoft in a company called Novell back in the 90s, and there was even AI that was back then. But something has changed recently. Several years ago, when we would get into AI, there's clustering AI technologies, there was intent technologies, and things like that. But along with that, always came this. You had to get your AI specialists in because there was a lot of work. In fact, I'd go talk to brands about their budgets of implementing AI, and it was typically millions of dollars that they would be like, yeah, we're investing this right now to get AI up and running. And what we've seen change, especially with the explosion of open AI and the ChatGPT and some of these things that have come out, is the barrier to entry has become so low because the base technology that's out there is so high. Because you always, whenever you build your AI, you build it on top of some basis there. And the base has now grown so much that the cost for anyone to enter into AI is just extremely low. All the graphics that you'll see here today, just for fun, I did on Midjourney and things like that. And it's just super easy. Anybody who even doesn't have any expertise can get a tool. They can get a chat tool. They can go onto Discord. They can go on. There's a number of tools where they can just start interacting and leveraging AI in their day-to-day. And so I was having this discussion with my daughter. She happens to be an English major at a local university here. And there's this, she's caught up in the hype because, this is her job. This is her future. And she's, talking to me about like, well, Dad, what about AI? I'm planning on being a writer and things like that. And the reality in the discussion that I was having with her is like, AI is here. It's at a point where we can actually use it. It's beyond science, it's beyond computer science experiments. The cost of entry now is super easy, super low. Brands can implement it across the board. There's different types of AI out there. You've got the translation, you have clustering, you have language processing. You can have it you can have it code for you. You can have it write for you. Like, there's all these things that it can do for you. But the question is, what are we going to do as humans with the AI? And that's really what is kind of what I want to explore today, is like, as the humans, because we as the humans, we have our place in all of this. I've over the past years as a hobby, I've been working on becoming a pilot. And I first started in this really clunky old airplane where it just was just the standard gauges that you have there, whatever. And I remember upgrading to kind of a more modern plane, and there's just so much technology there. But even with all of that technology that makes it easy for me, my job is still there to fly the plane. And I can use that technology to help that. When I think about customer service as the humans, our job is to create an amazing customer service experience. We're there to solve the problem. And AI is a tool for us. It is something that's there to help us. And so that really is the question, is that, like, we have this tool, what are we going to do with it? And I talk to a lot of people, and often there's like bits and pieces. So you're like, oh, I'm going to have a chatbot come in and do this, or I'm going to have it go do this. And what's happened over the years is we've developed this model to how to think about AI and how to approach it, and not just AI, how to think about automations and all of this together, that we have found is actually having a real impact. And that's really what I want to talk about today. Is I want to talk about this practical approach that not thinking about like a single piece of AI or things like that, but really this approach that you can take, and where you can fit AI and automation into the workflows, and it has real impact. The numbers that I'm showing here, we just barely released 2 days ago. There's a couple announcements I'll make. One of the announcements I'll make right now is that we released our benchmark report 2 days ago. You can go download it from our website. There's a number of places where you can go get it. And these numbers that you're seeing here directly from it, this is actual brands. Some of this is consolidated. Some of this is very specific. But this is the type of impact that we're seeing when we have a brand that logically integrates AI and automation into the workflow. We're seeing in this kind of on average 82% automation. We're actually seeing brands that are getting higher than this, but we're averaging it out. And so being able to have that level of automation, time to obviously one of the big things is faster resolutions, because you have the automation that's in there. Better experiences. This is one that is really interesting. There's always a question about like, well, okay, if you bring in automation or bring in AI, like, do customers really want it, or do they like it? Our experience has always been that when you combine the AIs with the human experience, it is always better. You always have a better experience with once you bring in the automation. And it makes sense because you can be more places, you can serve more people, and you can have AI do what it does best. And then lower the cost. This is just an example. The 30% decrease that you're seeing here, this was a study on just one piece of AI. What you're going to see today is you're going to see a much more practical, which actually have a lot broader one. But we did a survey on just one piece. So all right, so that's what you can expect. I want to talk about the approach that we've taken and what we've been seeing, like, actually having impact out in the industry. And again, I'm going to try and keep this generic because a lot of the concepts apply to other systems, like whether you're on HelpShift or on whatever, the concepts are there. And so you can build this, and work on it. And obviously I'll talk about the technologies that we have. But I want to take a step back though and remind everybody what we're doing. And the reason why is because we have this discussion with brands all the time, and the question always is like, oh, what can we do with AI, or can we implement AI, or if I'll even ask somebody, did you implement AI? Oh yeah, I did it here and whatever. And it's really not about the AI. It isn't about that at all. It's about the goal of what we're trying to achieve. And AI is just one of those things that is getting there. And so when you approach AI like that, it can be a lot more effective. And so I drew this up just to remind us what the goal is. For customer service, it really is about this. It's very simple. Somebody comes in with a problem, and we're trying to get them to a solution. And there's a middle thing that we do, which is called the customer service journey. That's what we're trying to get them through. And if we do this effectively and efficiently and at scale, then we can be successful. But that's at the core all we're trying to do. We're trying to get people from a state of I have a problem to I have a solution. And often when we talk to customers, or I talk to people out in the industry or whatever, I see this. What I see is what's called the magical AI. They think at very high levels of like, oh, okay, great. Why don't we take the customer service journey and let's put AI here? And if we can put AI here, it's going to magically solve our problems. It's going to come in and it's going to answer questions. In fact, the term that's often used is deflection rate here. Like I can actually have, I know there's a bunch of people that have problems. I can throw AI in, and AI can go look at what's going on. It can maybe look at some of the agents, what they respond, or it can look at my knowledge base, or it can do this, and it can answer questions and deflect some of the workload, which sounds like a really good thing. And we've, I put 20 to 30% here. We've played around with this type of technology before. You can actually hone it in and get higher than that. If you really want to do that. I've seen a lot of like posts out there about, hey, we just implemented, and typically this magical AI will come with a name. This is Evan the AI or whatever the AI. You just implement it and it just works. It's typically a generalized tool. And it's this way because the other thing that people are looking for is like, look, I just want it simple. I just want to put it in there. I don't want to manage it. I just want it, and I don't want to work to have it like integrated into a system. So like, can I just put this in front as my first deflection, and I can turn it on in just minutes? And it's a fine approach to be able to do this. Again, like I said, I've seen a lot of these that have popped up in the past year, especially with generative AI that's now out there. It's very simple to say, like, why don't we take ChatGPT? We can point it at a number of things that are out there and just have it respond. And it can be successful. I mean, I would get a huge bonus if I went into a support center and cut their workload by 20 to 30%. So this is a fine approach, but there's a different approach. And it's the approach that I'm calling the practical approach, which is about taking the AI and making it an integrated part of your journey. And so now it's not like, oh yeah, we have an AI, thing that's there. It's like AI is just part of who we are. It's part of what we do. It's integrated into our system. It's very specialized. It's not like, oh, we're going to just have this general AI. It's trying to solve very specific problems. It's managed just like I would manage a human, and it's a team. And this is how we get the much higher rates. And I don't use the word deflection anymore because that's not my intent. My intent is to solve someone's problem, not to deflect them. And so that's where this is a different approach about doing that. And I want to just deep dive into this a little bit, comparing these two, the magical AI with the practical AI. The practical AI is like, instead of using the general approach, you're trying to have specialists. Just like imagine you were hiring a team to solve a problem. You'd say, okay, look, I want someone who's really good at talking to the customer. I want someone who's really good at technical. I may have to hire some people that know different languages. Like these are people that are really good at what they do. And if I can make them work together, then it becomes very powerful. And it's the same thing with AI. It's like, let's get some clustering AI. Let's get some intent AI. Let's get some translation AI. Like, let's bring these AIs together into a team and let's integrate them into the customer support journey. Like ideally, you would not even know if I was a consumer that I was necessarily going through the AI. You would just say, like, I'm just getting my problem solved. Like when I bring up Google Maps, of course, is covered with AI. And I say, look, I want to get to a store. And it will just map it out and it's there. And I didn't stop and say, oh, wow, I just used AI. it just does it for me. And so ideally, that's the way that it would be, is it would be integrated. And there's this big concept, this discussion about managed versus unmanaged. And unmanaged is like, it's so much easier. I can just turn it on. But I would never hire a person and say, look, go and do your job without me actually giving you some instructions and training you on my system and, and doing that. And the last thing is, you should employ them as part of your team. And so this concept of like, oh, AI is going to come in and is it going to replace us? No, AI is part of your team, which means that you need to have them working with your humans and your technology. And again, I bring back the analogy as a pilot that, I've been surrounded by all this technology, but it's still my job to fly the plane. As humans, it's our job to provide a great customer service experience. That's what we do. That's who we are. And we'll leverage AI to do that, but we need to be there to make sure that experience is great. We need to be there to solve the problems. We need to be there to AI is not going to do everything. It's not this magical thing. It's for us to manage and to create this great experience. And so that's the approach that we've taken when we've gone into this. So, all right, I'm going to just pause here for just 1 second. I'm checking to see if there's any questions that have come up. So like I said, by all means, please ask any questions that you have. I'm going to start moving on into the more technical side of the discussion, where I'm going to be I've kind of been talking hypothetically here, but I'm just pausing to see if anybody has any questions about kind of this hypothetical. But this approach and this mentality is really important, because again, it's like, how do you come to AI? Do you think about it from like, oh, I just want something magical, which is a fine approach, or do you really want something that's that will be transformative? And that's really what we're trying to do. So, all right, let's get into it. Let's start. Let's go back and take a look at this customer support journey. I actually like to call this the modern customer support journey, because I think it employs a lot of modern things. Oh, actually, someone asked a really good question, White. Are there risks associated with the magical AI? Thank you so much for asking that question, because I did want to bring it up. Let's talk about the risks in general, because there are several risks that when you implement AI, and it also is another reason why you want to do practical AI. So AI is great. AI will help you out, but there's a couple of risks. One of the most obvious risks is that the AI may come across as being very authoritative, like it knows what the answer is, even though it's completely wrong. Like it can come in and say, like, look, this is exactly what you need to do, and what it's telling you is not what is exactly what needs to do, and which is one of the other reasons why having managed versus unmanaged is so important. To be able to do that. The other thing is that when you think about how and where that you put AI, a lot of people are they just think, okay, like, great, let me just have it answer things. But if you want to try and use it to be, say, more directive, like, I know you have these 3 steps to do, then the magical AI doesn't really work so well at that, because it needs to come up with those 3 steps that you need to do. And you're like, look, you have to do exactly these 3. And so by having a managed approach, you can actually say, okay, this is exactly the 3 steps that we always do. And we can have a much better, response. And then so you can manage these though, like I said, with the magical AI, you can manage it by making it manage or things like that, or putting it into a place where it actually does. So it says, to what level can we trust AI to deliver the quality similar to humans, and where do we draw the line? That's really good question. And this is where the practical approach comes in, because in the magical approach, you're just kind of setting it out there, and you're kind of just like saying, here, look, just go deflect these people and let's see how it works. When you have a managed approach, you have control 100% over that. And so you can bring them in and say, look, I'm going to bring you in and I'm going to control. And as I trust you more, then I'm going to be able to move that line. And that's where the managed approach becomes so important, because you're able to say, like, look, I can see that you're doing well here, so let's increase it, or I can see that you're not doing well here, and so let's do that. And that's where I think this practical approach is much more powerful. I show you some of these the numbers where we have 80% or more. That's because people have taken the time to really hone the AI and the automation to what to what it can do. So, all right. So to do that, to take the practical approach, you need to understand what you're doing, and so that's where the customer support journey is. I'm going to break this down to 2 levels and talk about what is this journey. Again, this is very high level. When you look at your environment, you may be like, oh, well, we do a little bit different, like this or like this, but this is the general classic journey that we see that a customer will go on. They'll come in, they have a problem, they'll engage in some way, they'll open a help page, they'll go on a website, they'll dial a phone number, they'll do something, okay, to engage to, because they're like, I have a problem. They're going to raise their hand and that. Now, typically, you provide some sort of self-help for the brand, and this is actually very good. We've done multiple iterations on different kind of journeys. We found having self-help at the very beginning of the journey is absolutely, beneficial for the consumer. Everyone loves it because they can just, like I say, if it's a simple question, they can go search, they can find it, they can get on with their way, and they can go do that. Now, it's like you bring up a map and you're like, okay, the store's here. I see how I can go do that. But you may need guided help. Like, okay, I need to go on a further journey, and so I need someone tell me step by step where to go. And so that's typically, you'll have a chat or you have a phone call, or you do these things where someone's going to walk you through getting to your solution. And then in the end, you have some feedback, tell us how it was so that we can improve the journey. This is the base journey. This is where you have whether you have AI or not, this is what you're doing. And now what I want to do is I want to walk through each one of these phases, and I want to then show how do you infuse AI into each one of these, because that's really what the goal is. Instead of bringing in a magical AI, leave your journey the way it is and infuse AI into it. Make that part more powerful. And so we're just going to go through each one of these, and we're going to say, like, here's how you would bring, team member 1, team member 2, team member 3 into it. So we'll start with the engaging piece. And you're like, okay, well, wait a second. This is like, where's AI here? They just pick up the phone, or they open the ticket. This is, for me, the step 1. This is extremely important to understand how the step 1 works with the AI, because all AI is only as good as what you have fed it. And so when somebody engages, the more that you can feed the AI, the better it will be. And so this is why I'd say, like, think about your AI from the beginning of the journey, and you actually want to start it off in a place where it can be contextual. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So here's a game that I'm playing right now. This is Golf Clash. I've also been playing recently by Scopely Monopoly Go. Really fun game. Golf Clash is one that I've been playing for years. You can see my points. I'm 1.3 million. I won't tell you how I got there, but anyways, it's this happens to be a fun game. You can see who I am. I'm E Ashman. You can see all the points that actually I've earned 23 million. The fact that I only have 1 million left tells you how many what I've done. But I'm pretty good, 48%. So here's all the information that you know about me. You also know that I'm in the game. You can see that I just opened it. Golf Clash has done something really nice that I love what they've done, is they've put the customer service right here on the top screen. So when I click on it, it opens up customer service. Now, it's a very simple engagement. I just one click, boom, it's there. But all of that context, who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, all of that now is in the system. That was just captured when I pressed that button. That's simple. There I'm engaged. All of that context is in there. So now AI gets to use that. AI can tell that and not just AI, your agents get to use it, your automation gets to use that. All of that is now information that gets to be able to be used in the process. Okay, and so they're able to do things like, you can see there's popular articles here. Well, why are those popular articles there? That's something that AI can help out with, and all of this, because this now can be can be directed to me. Now, not every channel is as rich as in-app. Okay, like if you come in over a website, you may not be authenticated. They may just come in, and so you have a lot less information when someone comes in. And so even if they come in over a website, I always recommend that you have some sort of authentication so that you can capture the identity and get that personal context. And then also knowing even at a minimum what language they are, and having that language, the language AI pre-trained. So these are things that you would set up before so that the rest of the journey goes well, because you want to give that food to the AI system. So I think I'm going to ask a poll right now and ask the question like, what do you, and I just break it up a little bit. What do you typically have as your engagement method? And we'll just see either what do you typically use, if you're a consumer, or what do you have in your system. So we're going to bring up the poll right now. Hopefully it's launched. Kent, if you can launch that. All right, we may have to, if that doesn't look like it launched. Okay, you should have a Slido thing that opened up. So down at the bottom, you should see Slido, and you can click on to see like what. All right, there we go. So we're seeing the different ones that are coming in. It's the green button at the bottom. You have the thing that's the Slido, and you can see it's broken in between in-app and website form, which is good. Those are probably the two the two more places that are where you can get the most context. Again, though, but the context is what is really important, is being able to bring that context in. So, all right, well, let's start getting into the actual next step, which is the self-help area, and let's talk about AI here. Okay, so this is self-help. So somebody comes in. Fact, let me just show you, just so that we're all on the same page. Let me just bring up. So I'm here at getting support. I'll click on my support tool here, and self-help is right here. I can type in questions or things like that, and you're like, okay, what's AI doing here? Like, what can you do? And what we found, this is actually, the self-help is such a great place because it's the first place where you can start to get clues about what is going on in the system. And so several years ago, we started an experiment with this, and it's been probably one of the better tools that we have been using over the years, which is a clustering. We have our own clustering technology. It's called Insights that we have, but there's a lot of clustering tools out there, and this is this is something that's fairly mature in the industry that you can do. But you take an AI and you do a cluster analysis, and do it right at the beginning on your self-help. Also include all of your guided help topics. And what you can find out is you can find out what are the trends and the things that are most common. But most important, you can also tie that to the other contextual data. So you can find out, look, if someone's coming from here, they typically ask this question, or this is the words that they ask when they're trying to find, their login problems. They talk like this. And so you can match not just what the trends are, but you can match it also with the words and the other contextual data. And what that does is it allows you to focus your self-help and your guided help on what are the top things. When we first did this, we would go to brands and we'd ask them the question. We'd be like, okay, how many categories of issues do you have? And they typically would go like, oh, we got like 40 or 50, they have this big book, and we would like, let's go do the cluster analysis. Here's what we found out extremely interesting. When we did the cluster analysis, we could break it down to about 20 issues, and that would cover 80% of their volume. And so we said, look, if you can take AI and you can have AI identify 20 issues, which is very doable with AI, very, very doable with AI, that would handle 80% of your workload. What you're seeing here, this just came out in this just came out in our benchmark report. We just ran it every year. We run a cluster over the millions and millions of issues that come in across our system to see what are the most common. So you would do this for your own brand, but we've done this, of course, across the industry. And you can see, for example, 7.6% is linking account problems and things like that. So if you just had a FAQ article for that, or something that handles that, that's 7% of your volume. All right, well, let's take internet connections, 24 now. Okay, now we're up to 30%. Let's talk about performance issues. Okay, now we're up to 35%. Let's make sure that we have a good solution for collecting rewards. Now we're up to 40%. And so you can see that by having that cluster analysis, you can very easily figure out like what are the things that you need to be able to focus on. This happens to be fintech. What are the top things that are in fintech? We actually just published these. And so that's the first thing that you can do. And then once you know that, there's a couple other tools you can use. Generative AI is really helpful here because you know what your top issues are. You can just be like, okay, look, connectivity is a problem. Here we can see that these are the 3 common responses that we've given to connectivity. We can look at the agent's responses from that because you've clustered these together. And so you can then generate a support article and then use language AI, which is one of the second announcement that I'm going to have later on, is that we just released this morning, we just released our language AI tool set, which allows for auto translation. We're starting off with agent tools, but we'll also do auto translation of articles. And so really within, you cluster, takes a little while to do the cluster, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Then you find out what the top ones are. You collect the issues, responses, generate a support article, edit it, translate it. Really within not too long, you've now taken care of 30, 40% of your volume, all using the AI tools. Again, and I talk about this generally. Obviously, these are tools that we have within our system that you can use. So, all right, great. That is the self-help. I wanted to move on into the guided help to talk about how do you integrate AI into that. So let's take a look at guided help. Guided help does break down a little bit more. You have this, and again, this is not this isn't what you would guided help isn't this isn't just AI that's doing this. That you would just do this normally. Like if you think if somebody came in and said, okay, I'm talking to somebody, first thing you do is triage it. What is it that you want? Now, if it's something easy, you'd be like, oh yeah, here's the answer. Just, here's a link to our webpage, go do this, and that's all you have to do. If it's something more complex, you would walk them through some predefined workflow. You want a refund? Great. Tell me the item, I'll connect to the system, I'll give you the refund, it's back. Or if it's a harder problem, you're like, okay, I need to have a specialist come into this. And so this is the typical flow that somebody would go into. And so now it's like you can also embed different AIs in each one of these steps. And the first AI is what we're calling the intent AI. Okay. And so since you know the clusters, you know what people are asking for, you can actually train an intent AI to understand when someone comes in, so that if they say, I have a login problem, you can then identify exactly what it is. And this is what it looks like. In fact, I'll show it to you in the app here real quick. Okay. So here I have, again, Playdemic. When I click on the chat, you can see there is the menu items that are down here, or I can just type in, I can just start typing in here. I have a problem, I can't log in. And you can just type that. Now, what's interesting, you can see you have the menu options up here. This is something that we learned early on, and it's one of the things that I talk about when I talk about integrated. Now, you can see I have a menu and I have a text thing. Well, the text is going to use AI, the intent AI. So if it says I can't log in, it's a login problem. But I also have the menu here, so I can just click lost account. And what we found is that when, if we had just the AI there and it just had the typing, we would get really good accuracy, 60, 70, 80%, which for an intent AI is pretty good. Like anybody can type in anything. But as soon as we added the menu, we jumped up to 95% accuracy and classification. Because often people just use their thumb and go use it. And you're like, but that's not AI. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to solve the problem. And so by integrating AI like this, like the consumer doesn't know he's using AI or a menu or whatever. They don't care. They just know they're trying to get their lost account solved. And so that's what this does, is it kind of embeds both of those experiences. Now, let me actually show it to you actually in real action. So this is, I didn't want to do it on Playdemic here. So let me just start a conversation. This is actually a kind of my own test system. So you'll see the login comes up here, but I could say my account is blocked. Okay. And when I do that, the AI is going to come in and it's going to say like, okay, great. Look, I see that this is probably unable to log in, and it's presenting that automatically. It just took that from what I have. And so when I click on that, it now starts the flow automatically for that. And so you can see how the AI actually worked. And so then the people are, everyone always asks the questions. We're like, okay, then how do you know what to put here? How do I know what are the items here? It's very simple. You did your cluster analysis earlier. And so you know exactly what are the top items. And so you can focus the AI. If you were to put a generic AI here, then you have to train it for like every possible thing out there. And so then your accuracy goes down. If you focus your AI here, your accuracy goes through the roof. And you know that because you did the clustering. So, all right, that is the pre-trained intent AI. That, and what I was showing you there, by the way, was just to show you where all of that came from. That is part of our smart intents AI. That's part of the system that we have. So we have the system where you can create the, you can train the AI and create this entire experience. And what we've learned over the years is being able to have the menu along with the AI makes it extremely powerful. Again, it's integrated. It's not, oh, look, you're going through AI. It's just part of it. So then the next step is some quick answers. Now, this is where AI really shines. This is where you typically can insert a magical AI. But you notice where I've inserted it here. I didn't put it right at the very beginning, so I'm not deflecting now. And there's a question, what do you mean about train the AI? So if you remember earlier on when we did the cluster analysis here, what this clustering did is it allowed me to find out what the subjects were. Okay, but it also allowed me to understand what it is that people talk, how people talk when they talk about that subject. And so when I'm taking a look at, let's take a look at, the login thing that we were just talking about right now. Okay, unable to log in. Well, I know what the common things that people say when they do that. And so I can actually train it. I can give it, hey, look, these are the things that people commonly say, because again, I've already done the clustering. We actually have pre-trained intents because we know what people commonly say. So we've already trained these things. And so, but what's really nice about doing this is, again, you can focus it on, here's how people talk in your app. And so you just add them here. And then so you now know, okay, when someone types in and says, look, my account is blocked or whatever, they say something similar to that. They can even say, look, it seems like something's blocking or whatever, like whatever. The AI is smart enough to get the gist of that. Then it's like, oh, okay, this is something related to to that. So, and what's nice about the pre-trained model is that you don't have to actually go do this because we've already done that work for you. So, all right. So let's get into quick answers. Like I said, this is where kind of the generative AI, and this is what most people think of when they think of kind of like, oh, we have this magical solution. They're just something that's answering questions. But you've noticed I've put this not at the very beginning to deflect. I've now put it in the middle exactly when we know that we need, if someone's asked a simple question, then I don't need to have a human answer it. I can actually have AI come in and answer it at this point. Like I already know it's a simple question so that I can do this. And so here's an example of generative AI. This is a tool. There's a number of tools that are out there. We're actually releasing our generative AI for quick answers. We've had one that's been out for a while, but we'll be having the one with ChatGPT that will be that'll be released in early October. But here what's happened is that we know that this is related to they want to return, and we know there's an FAQ article about that. And so the generative AI is going and giving them a summary. Here is what the return looks like, and it's also giving them a source of how they could go and do that. So and so you can see this is a great place for generative AI to come in to help out and to answer those quick questions. In fact, I would say, you would want almost all of your quick, easy solutions to be able to handled by AI, because like the humans, let us do the specialist part and have them handle this. And you can see 20, 30% of resolution rate come at this point just by having this question. There's a question of how would you describe a JD profile? I'm going to actually come in with that because I'm sorry, I'm going to come back to that because I have a slide at the end where I want to talk about like what is the right person for this and what they would do. So I'm going to actually come back because I think that one deserves a little bit more time. So all right, so this is the quick answers. Like I said, this is where generative AI really shines. But you can see now where we've inserted it. It's not at the beginning of the journey. It's right where exactly how it can perform the best. Again, it's all about increasing the performance. So now we're getting near the end. We have we've answered it. We know exactly why they're here. If you had a human and it was a problem that you knew what to do, you would give the human a script and say, go solve this. And so this is where we have found, and we've worked with this, we've actually found that the best thing to do when you have a problem that you know how to solve is to have a managed workflow solve it. And a managed workflow means that you actually are telling and I'm going to use the term automation, you can use AI, but you're saying, look, go through these steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and solve the problem. Now, everyone's like, well, this takes time. This does take time to do, but it becomes not just answering questions, it can actually solve problems. You can go out there, you can integrate, like here's an example of someone coming in to check in early. You can integrate with the check-in system. You can give them different options. You can branch based on things that they do. But this is the workflow to get them to a solved problem. Again, you're not trying to deflect them. You're trying to be able to handle this. And there's a question is, with enough training, are you able to handle more complicated tasks? And the answer is absolutely. That's where you see these high percentages. What they've done is they've repeated this process and they hone it in again and again. So they'll start with some simple workflows, some simple training, and then they'll go through and they'll say, hey, let's break it down to the next level and let's add some more workflows, some more training, and then we'll add some more workflows. And so they just keep on honing that up and up and up. But at this point, like I said, the workflow is a much better thing because it's completely managed. You know exactly what the flow is always going to be, and you know what the outcome is going to be. It's going to get them to one of these predefined states. And so here you say AI step aside, managed workflow comes in, and let's get your problem solved. And again, you can see how this is no longer this magical workflow that we're trying to do. And I'll just show you just real quickly. HelpShift has this ability to create these workflow. We call them custom bots that allow you to manage through it. Again, there are other tools out there that allow you to create these different workflows, but this becomes very powerful at this point. And then, of course, after the workflow, there's still additional problems. Maybe the refund is a special case or things like that, and that's where your human agent comes in. Okay, your human agent is going to come in. They're going to do what they do best, which is solve these problems. And now what you can do is there's a ton of AI that's coming out now for help the agents out with this, which is there's AI sentiment, AI translation, ticket summary, generative AI that can help them with responses. There's all of this that you can do, and this is we talked about the price savings. You can literally cut the agent's workflow in half. And again, I think about my pilot experience. There's so many things that you can take off the load of the agent, so they can focus on just just solving the problem, which is what they need to do. So, all right, I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to show you a new tool that we just barely came out with, literally released this morning. So this is my first demo of this, and so bear with me for for just a second, because this is literally a hot going to be a hot demo here. So I just need to change my environment here over to Spanish. So I'm going to pretend like I'm going to be speaking in Spanish just real quick. Let me find, I saw it here, Spanish. So I just need to change, again, this is a test tool that I have. Make sure it's set over to Spanish. Let me just close it out for just 1 second and relaunch it here and make sure that it comes up in Spanish. Yep. Okay. So this, now you can see it's coming up. It's coming up in Spanish. And to set it up, I'm going to set up side by side with this. I am going to have my agent experience going on the side, because I'm trying to show you an agent tool. So here it's in Spanish. I'm going to speak Spanish. We'll see how good I do. Hola, yo tengo una problema on login. Okay. On my login. So I have a problem with my login. Hopefully my high school English teacher isn't rolling over in his grave right now, but we'll see how this goes. So I'll send this in, says, look, I have a problem with my login. And so now I'm an agent, and I see that this comes in. I happen to be an English agent. At this point, I'd have to transition this on over. But you can see here is translate right here in the UI. So I can click on the translation button. It already knew that it was Spanish. You can see that it's Spanish up here, and immediately it translated it over to English. And that's it. That was AI making my job just so much easier. And now I can come in, I can say, sure, I can help. When was the last time you logged in? And again, I'll hit the translate button and I'll send it away. And you can see now, claro, puedo ayudarte. When was the last time that you logged in? Okay, and that's what it says. So now as an agent, I'm not sitting here trying to think about language or think about these other things. I'm just trying to help. I'm doing my job. And on the consumer, what he's seeing it completely in Spanish the whole time. This is how AI helps your agents be more effective. You can now have agents that are specialized in logins. They can help people globally in just seconds. You'll see other tools, like I said, that you'll see that are popping up, like sentiment, translation. These are things that we're working on, but a lot of these tools already exist there, and that are out there. So there's so much that you can do on the agent side by adding these tools. I'm kind of getting near the end. We have just a couple minutes left, so I'm just going to talk about feedback, which of course at the end you do have to have feedback, because again, you're feeding the AI back, letting them know, look, this is how things went. And so that's really the story that you have, is that you take AI and you don't throw in magical AI, you infuse AI across your journey. You give it this team of AI specialists that can come in to help you out across the board. You don't just say, okay, AI, just go answer what you can and deflect calls from me, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to solve problems. And I do that by doing a cluster analysis to understand who they are. I train my intents, and there was a question about training. If it, what is, how says what is the workflow changes due to updates and like the impact of training the AI, and that's something that you'll work out over time. And again, it starts with that cluster. Once you know what those top things are, then you introduce those changes of like, okay, here's the first thing we're gonna improve on. Here's the second thing we're gonna improve on. Here's the third thing, and so you build that up. So you have your intent to understand what it is. You can have some generative AI that can answer simple problems. You have your managed workflows to do the more complex problems, and then you provide AI to the specialists so that they can do what they do best. And that's where, that's where you get this high level of, of automation and whatever. So, just some parting thoughts. There was a question of like, what is the job description that I would have? There's a couple of things that you really want to have. One is that you want somebody who understands customer service, because you're not trying to bring in somebody who is trying to be like, oh, I'm trying to make this an AI thing. You're trying to bring somebody in who says, I'm trying to make this a great experience to start with. And then you're going to be looking for somebody who has experiences in a variety of different AI, not for someone who says, oh, look, I'm really good at generative AI or whatever. You're saying, look, I actually want to have somebody who understands, look, I understand clustering, I understand training, I understand this, I understand that. I would be looking for somebody who first understands the customer support experience, because that's paramount, and then who can then say, yes, I actually understand that, and has the vision of, I'm not trying to make this an AI project, I'm trying to solve customer service, and that's where I'm trying to build them in. So we're almost at top of the hour. I really want to thank everybody for being here. I will hang around for a couple of minutes to answer any questions. But I'm super excited about the things that we've released today, the things that we've released this past week. And I am even more excited about where this industry is going, because I see the empowerment that AI is doing with human beings. So thank you very much for joining. Like I said, I'll hang out for a little bit for any additional questions. But again, thank you so much for letting me share my thoughts on how we can take a practical approach and have really impact. So there is a question about, what if the workflows changes due to updates, changes in process? How will that impact the training of the AI? That I talked a little bit about that, but I'll talk a little bit more about that. In that you do need to do this process, the clustering, periodically. You can do it as often as weekly, or monthly, or things like that. What we have seen is we've actually seen that there isn't you typically don't have a major change, but it will definitely change over time. And so you should kind of go through that process again and again multiple times to be able to do that. So that's a very good question. Is there any other questions? All right. Well, with that, then I think I'm going to close this out again. Thank you for everyone who hung around for a couple extra minutes.